If you think of German Romanticism, you're probably thinking of epic landscapes with lots of depth. Awe-inspiring pieces which show the immensity of nature, giving it a spiritual or divine characteristic. Now, if you had to name a German Romantic painter, the name Caspar David Friedrich would have to be mentioned. His works such as The Wonder Above a Sea of Fog is a great embodiment of German Romanticism. It's truly breathtaking. You see a man looking in the distance at a vast and epic landscape. He's standing in the center of the frame and many lines point towards him, yet we are still pulled in by the landscape. This is probably due to the fact that the man is also looking at it, and not seeing his face, we want to see what he's looking at. Friedrich often used subjects which face away from the viewer. This is called a Rückenfigure. It's used to make us, the viewer, identify with the characters depicted as they are, just like us, contemplating a scene. This way, we feel even more immersed in the painting as we somehow become part of it. It also helps with the illusion of depth because the subject in the foreground is clearly separated from the background. But in 1810, Friedrich finishes a painting which will stand out from the rest of his work. It won't have the depth nor the intricate compositions we're used to, but it will nonetheless be extremely awe-inspiring and spiritual. At the Prussian Academy of Arts exhibition of 1810, two paintings by Friedrich are exposed one on top of the other. On the bottom was the Abbe in the Oakwood, a grim painting of a handful of monks carrying a coffin in a ruined abbey. Again, nature is shown dominating humans as the trees tower over the church and the human figures are extremely small, almost unnoticeable. Finally, nature's domination is shown by the death of a man. On top of this painting, if you leave the grim atmosphere and head above, you see the monk by the sea. A tiny monk is standing on some dunes and he's looking at a turbulent sea. Above him are a couple of birds flying, and that's pretty much it. Friedrich painted a boat floating in the background, but then later decided to take it away, making the painting the masterpiece it is today. It shares a recurrent theme in Friedrich's work, the contrast between the vastness of nature and the littleness of humanity. But the painting stands out from other later works. You can see the use of the Rückenfigure, but it doesn't have the same power as it does in Wonder Above a Sea of Fog, as it's extremely small. The composition is far from being as complex as we're used to seeing in Friedrich's work. For example, in Two Men Contemplating the Moon and Chalk Cliffs on Rügen, trees are used to lead us in the frame. In The Monk by the Sea, nothing leads us in, which, as Heinrich von Kleist, a contemporary of Friedrich, notes, since in its monotony and boundlessness it has no foreground except the frame, when viewing it, it is as if one's eyelids had been cut away. Finally, there's not a lot of depth in the image. It's actually so compressed that, as some have noted, it's almost abstract. We can look, for example, at the work of abstract expressionist painter Mark Rothko and see the similarities between Blue and Gray, painted in 1962, and The Monk by the Sea. Here's what art historian Robert Rosenblum had to say about it. In the abstract language of Rothko, such literal detail, a bridge of empathy between the real spectator and the presentation of a transcendental landscape, is no longer necessary. We ourselves are the monk before the sea, standing silently and contemplatively before these huge and soundless pictures, as if we were looking at a sunset or a moonlit night.